I felt so many things in the last year or so. There's times I felt scared. There's times I felt humiliated. There's times I felt embarrassed. And ultimately, I just felt terrible.
Alright, guys. Man, what a wild 4-game slate. I mean, tomorrow we have 13 games, so I thought I was getting a break with essentially a day off today, but this slate is probably going to end up being way more stressful than tomorrow's 13-game slate, so we will have to wait for some news during this stream, but I appreciate you guys being here nonetheless. I mean, this slate is just a real big pain in my ass, to be honest. Right now, we are really just waiting on that Anthony Davis news. I do have some leans on the later injuries that we will go through. But yeah, the AD situation makes everything. But I guess we can start going game by game for you guys in here. Man, a bunch of you guys in here. Mickey, Random Guy, Future, Ripstick, Stephanie, Freddie, Shannon, Sean, Eric, Sam, Mickey, Brandon, Alex, Sarah G, Matt. What's going on, guys? Man, a bunch of you guys in here already. All right. So we are going to go game by game a little bit. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure to drop a like. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. It really helps out the algorithm. We got an hour to go through everything. But I'm feeling pretty good about this slate, depending on the Anthony Davis news. We'll go game by game right now and kind of break down some situations. We did get some news, not too long ago. Anthony Davis, a game time decision. Yeah, that's what we like seeing, right? Well, I mean, I guess for the most part. Okay, well, let me just get into it, and I'll discuss what our strategy should probably be moving forward. Okay, so before I get into this first game, let's just kind of articulate what the best route we should be going today is. So Anthony Davis is a game time decision. Jokic is probably heading to a game time decision, and so is Luka Doncic. So this first game, we already know what's going to happen. Miami, for the most part, Miami does have Bam Adebayo. He was questionable earlier. He was just announced that he's available to play. PJ Tucker and Duncan Robinson are both game time decisions. We should get that news before lock. If Duncan Robinson misses, I have some interest in Max Strus. And then on the Detroit side, I really just like Corey Joseph. I don't mind Sadiq Bey. I think he's a fine play. But I think you should probably be, unless we get Anthony Davis news before lock, I think you should be avoiding this first game outside of maybe Corey Joseph and then Bam Adebayo on FanDuel, because I think Bam Adebayo on FanDuel is pretty abysmally priced. I think you should probably be fitting him into your lineups. And then on the Detroit side, yeah, Corey Joseph, that's about it. And then wait for that Anthony Davis news, leave some flexibility. But for this Miami Heat Detroit game, we'll kind of go through this right now. It is currently a 207 over under. The Heat are currently 10-point favorites. Like I mentioned, Victor Oladipo, Markieff Morris are out today. Bam Adebayo popped up on the injury report in the middle of the day with an illness, but it looks like he is good to go. Duncan Robinson and PJ Tucker are both headed towards game time decisions. Now, that actually changes quite a bit today. If Duncan Robinson does end up missing, Max Strus has been pretty much a one-for-one replacement for him. They run the same exact plays through him as they do Duncan Robinson. I'm expecting him to start and Tyler Hero to continue to come off the bench in the same exact role. But if Strus is out there instead of Duncan Robinson, it almost guarantees that Tyler Hero will be a part of the closing lineup in the first and the second half. Assuming this game is competitive enough for Tyler Hero to be out there deep into the fourth quarter, I could easily see this game getting out of hand. It is in Detroit, so maybe this game plays a bit closer. Cade Cunningham's also been playing well, so maybe this game does play competitively, but more times than not, I think that it likely gets out of hand, and I'm completely okay with fading this game for the most part. Again, Bam Adebayo, very good play over on FanDuel. Draftkings, I'm not really interested in much unless we get news that Duncan Robinson and or PJ Tucker are ruled out. Then we can adjust accordingly. On the Detroit Pistons side, they are going to be without Killian Hayes, Kelly Olynyk, Isaiah Stewart. So they are pretty thin in the front court right now without Stewart and Kelly Olynyk. We don't know who is starting yet, so the starting lineup is interesting. We did get word that Jeremy Grant is going to get some run at the 5, which makes a lot of sense. We go back to last game when Isaiah Stewart was ejected against the Lakers. In a pretty similarly sized team in the Miami Heat, and Lakers, pretty much the same size-wise. We saw that they closed with Jeremy Grant at the 5, and Frank Jackson was actually in the lineup and closed the last 16 minutes of that game. So with them saying that we are going to see a good bit of Jeremy Grant at the 5, that makes me feel like Luka Garza is probably going to start. We could see Trey Lyles start as well. Both those guys would be more secondary plays for me, but it's Corey Joseph who I'm really focusing on. He started in place of Killian Hayes last game, played 39 minutes, obviously a tough matchup, but for $3,900, even if this game blows out and he gets run through the first 3 quarters, he's likely playing around 30 minutes, so I think he is a core piece for me. I think Saddiq Bey is more of a secondary play, as well as Cade Cunningham. Just a very, very tough matchup for the Detroit Pistons here. Move over to the Los Angeles Lakers versus the New York Knicks at 213.5 over under. The Knicks are currently 6-point favorites. The Lakers are going to be without LeBron James, Kendrick Nunn, Trevor Ariza, Austin Reeves, and then Anthony Davis is a game time decision. Now, this game is just 30 minutes after lock, but with him being a game time decision, I feel like we're not going to get that information until after lock. So again, I would largely fade this first game outside of Corey Joseph and then Bam Adebayo over on FanDuel, and just so you have the flexibility to move on to these Los Angeles Lakers guys, because if Anthony Davis were to be ruled out, Russell Westbrook, Taylon Horton Tucker is a core play regardless, but he would become even better play. Carmelo Anthony, and then both these centers, Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan, would be elite plays today that I would be absolutely all over. I try to fit in for these Lakers guys if Anthony Davis were to be ruled out. The New York Knicks are a pretty horrendous defense contrary to what we saw last year out of them. And they're going to be pretty short-handed themselves. So I absolutely love the Los Angeles Lakers. Pretty much like 3 or 4, maybe 5 of them on DraftKings if AD is ruled out. If AD is ruled in, it's Taylon Horton Tucker and it's Anthony Davis himself as my 2 favorite plays from the Lakers side. But definitely going to have to wait and see on that news. Move over to the New York Knicks. Mitchell Robinson, Taj Gibson, and then now Derrick Rose is also out. So we know that Derrick Rose and Kemba Walker split all 48 point guard minutes, and whoever ends up playing the most of them is going to play around 30 minutes and is going to absolutely destroy their price tags. And it is an amazing matchup against the Los Angeles Lakers, one of the fastest teams in the league, and one of the worst teams in terms of defensive rating. So an awesome matchup for all of the New York Knicks guys. You take Derrick Rose off the court. I'm assuming Kemba Walker plays, on a medium projection around 30 minutes today, and he is only $4,800. He is a core piece for me today. RJ Barrett, Julius Randle also get pretty significant boost in terms of production. I think that Thibodeau probably leans on the starters a lot more than usual. I think Alec Burks gets a pretty big bump, and Emmanuel Quickley is a pretty solid tournament option coming off the bench. So I do have quite a bit of interest in the New York Knicks, and if AD were to be ruled out, I would likely just game stack this game with like 5-6 players, because I think this probably the best game environment on the entire slate. And then we don't really have to worry with these situations later on tonight, because we know that Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic are both headed towards game time decisions. So if AD is ruled out, that's kind of what I'm hoping for. We can kind of adjust accordingly and really just stack up on this Lakers versus Knicks game. Move over to the Denver Nuggets versus the Portland Trailblazers. At 214 over under, the Trailblazers are currently 6.5 point favorites. The Nuggets are going to be without Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, Zeke Naji, Bones Highland, and then Nikola Jokic is questionable. Now, we did just get I just find a picture on Twitter that it looks like Nikola Jokic, so he is dealing with a right wrist sprain and he has been wearing a brace. They did just take pictures and post it on the official Denver Nuggets Twitter account. And in the picture, he was not wearing that brace. So he was a game time decision, really close to playing last game. Went through warm-ups, decided he wasn't able to go. But with him not wearing that brace in practice not too long ago today, I'm assuming Jokic is going to play. And if that is the case, Jokic is the top raw projected player on the entire slate. I think that, his conditioning is probably completely fine. And I don't think the wrist injury is going to hinder him all that much. And he gets a great matchup against the Portland Trailblazers. And if he is active, that totally makes guys like Will Barton, Aaron Gordon obsolete. Jeff Green, I guess Jeff Green will continue to start at the 4, but not nearly as good of a play with Jokic healthy. But really makes these players obsolete on this Denver Nuggets team if he is healthy. If he's ruled out, guys like Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, not Monty Morris, but both the Green guys and Jeff Green and JaMychal Green become very, very good plays. But again, just the strategy of this slate is very weird because there's a 6 o'clock game, a 6:30 o'clock game, and then 2.5 hours later, we get the next game, and then 30 minutes after that, we get the next game. So very, very hard to adjust. So if you want to leave flexibility, make sure to do that. Make sure to leave your guard, forward, utility spots open for the most part. On the Portland Trailblazers side, there are no injuries on this team. I absolutely love Damian Lillard today. I think he's in a really good spot. Last time they played Denver, he was out. He is at home, national TV game. I think that he has a really good opportunity against the Denver Nuggets. I'm actually hoping that Jokic plays for the sake of Damian Lillard, just so he can get his full complement of minutes. But again, it is only a 6.5 point spread right now. Money's coming in on the Denver Nuggets. That's another reason why I think that Jokic will likely play tonight. Jusuf Nurkic, his minutes are just like, it's crazy. They're down even more this year than they have in years past, but he, like always, is a very, very good per-minute producer. You would think against the Denver Nuggets that they would leave him out there for an extended period of time. Last time he played them without Damian Lillard, he didn't look all that good against Jokic. And then Larry Nance Jr. actually, if Nikola Jokic were to be ruled out, especially, they like going small with Larry Nance Jr. at the 5. He's been playing very well. If the Nuggets are going to start JaMychal Green and mix in a guy like Jeff Green at the 5 as well, they are very undersized, and I think we get extended run from Larry Nance. So the starting lineup, or the status of Nikola Jokic, actually dictates where I want to go with the Portland Trailblazers when it comes to Jusuf Nurkic and Larry Nance Jr. Move over to the Dallas Mavericks versus the Los Angeles Clippers at 210 over under. The Clippers are currently 5.5 point favorites. The Mavericks are going to be without Frank Ntilikina. I believe Reggie Bullock is now questionable. Luka Doncic is questionable as well. It looked like he was pretty close to playing last game. He was a game time decision, went through practice yesterday, bumped knees with a teammate, said it hurt, had guys, the team ice it, and but he said it didn't affect him. He said it didn't make it worse or anything like that. Now, I actually lean that Luka, very slightly lean that Luka sits here. If he does, I'd like Jalen Brunson. I would consider Tim Hardaway Jr. as well. If he plays, Kristaps, Jalen Brunson, Hardaway, they're all priced up as if he's out, and then that would make everybody obsolete. I wouldn't be interested in Luka coming off this injury either if he were to be healthy. So, yeah, if he's out, Brunson, Hardaway are good plays to me. If he is in, I'm not really considering anybody on this Dallas Mavericks team. And then we move on to the Los Angeles Clippers, the last team of the slate. Nicholas Batum, Kawhi Leonard, Jason Preston are all out. Marcus Morris is expected to return and would likely slide back into the starting lineup for Batum. So, yeah, I'm expecting Marcus Morris likely to get the start here. Probably going to be on some sort of minutes limit. So I'm not really considering him at 4,900. Really, the only guy that I'm considering on this team is Paul George up top at 10,300. Very good matchup for him. Yeah, and then I guess it is worth noting that Serge Ibaka returned last game, played 12.5 minutes coming back from the G League. He played similar minutes in the other game that he played before he went to the G League. He just really eats into whatever Isaiah Hartenstein was going to play. Hartenstein only played one stint last game because of Serge Ibaka. And then I think Zubac probably plays middling 20s minutes, like 24 to 26 minutes. He's a fine tournament option at 5,100, but really not focusing on the Clippers all too much outside of Paul George. Also, Paul George is abysmally priced over here on FanDuel at 9.2K. And I do like the over on his prize picks at 43 fantasy points, which is still there at 42. So really like that. Also, I like the over on Taylon Horton Tucker. They took him off earlier in the day. He was at like 27 and a half. I like the over on Taylon Horton Tucker, regardless if Anthony Davis plays or not. Without LeBron James, Horton Tucker is probably going to play literally 38 minutes in this game. So that's why another reason why he's a core piece for us today. And I also like the Julius Randle over 41 fantasy points with no Derrick Rose, because he's going to be replaced largely by Emmanuel Quickly, which much less usage taking up from Quickly than from what we see from Derrick Rose. All right, guys. Let's get to some questions while we wait for this Anthony Davis news. Although I don't think that we're going to get this Anthony Davis news before lock, which is just very, very unfortunate. Is Kate a must play? No, I don't think so at all. Hit the like button, man. Frank Jackson got to be playable. He shoots so much more than Kojo and probably gets extended in a blowout over him. Kojo better peripherals, but Frank is a chucker. Yeah, I mean, I want to see what the starting lineup ends up being, because it could definitely end up helping out Frank Jackson, depending on who's starting. But yeah, I'm completely fine with making a direct pivot over to Frank Jackson over Corey Joseph. Definitely think that's fine. 80 with another 70 burger. Dude, I mean, I'm telling you, like, this matchup is so good for Anthony Davis. Is healthy. If people are scared off of him because he's sick, like, I mean, be scared off of him. But with him being a game time decision, I guess it is a bit more dicey. Advice was on spot last night. Let's catch again. Yeah, let's get it, man. The Knicks are going to pick on the Lakers tonight. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you can really just, like, if you don't want to deal with these later games and the injury news, I mean, stacking up on the Knicks as well. Like, I think RJ Barrett, Kemba Walker, Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel to a lesser extent, but those first couple guys that I mentioned are in very, very good spots considering their price. I mean, I will bring up, let me bring up the NBA pace this year for the Los Angeles Lakers just to show you guys, because the Lakers have just been so bad. Let's look at defensive rating. So the Lakers have been pretty much a bottom 10 defense in the year, but they have been very, very fast. If I can find it. Bless me, sorry. All right, let's bring up NBA pace. Okay, this is what I was looking for. Very big pace up spot for the loss. Okay, so the Lakers are the second fastest team in the entire NBA. Stand to be a lot faster without LeBron James. So, and Westbrook running the point for the most of the time. Who are the players you liked from the Lakers if AD is out? Yeah, if AD is ruled out, I'm pretty much just locking in Russell Westbrook. Taylon Horton Tucker, I'm locking him in anyways. Carmelo Anthony. And then I love both of these centers. I would prefer Dwight Howard slightly, but I'm definitely okay with playing Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan. We know that those two guys plus Anthony Davis, for the most part, split all 48 of those center minutes. So if you take AD out of the equation, we're going to get two guys splitting the majority of 48 center minutes that are very, very high per minute producers, and they come at a severe discount at $3,700 and $3,400. And I'm okay with playing both of them together, but really stacking up on the Lakers if Anthony Davis were to be ruled out, because even if Jokic and Luka Doncic are ruled out, they have already been ruled out in previous games, and so the prices, the values of the other players on that team are already inflated because we're used to them being out already. So, you know, I'm more inclined to go with the Lakers value plays, because they're actual value plays if Anthony Davis were to be ruled out. So really hoping we see Anthony Davis sit here. Yo, if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button. Let's try to get up to over 100 likes. If you guys could assist me in doing that, would be greatly appreciated. Can you play Joseph and Frank Jackson in the same lineup? Yep, I'm completely okay with that. Actually, I'll bring this up as well, just to kind of show you what we saw last game. And by the way, if you guys want to look at this information for free, I mean, go to addmorefunds.com. I think it's a pretty good website for, it's not an ad or anything. It's just to help you guys out. It is a completely free tool. You just got to sign up. It is completely free. Let's look at the Detroit Pistons in their last game when Isaiah Stewart was ejected, and we also saw Killian Hayes was also out in this game. So a very similar situation. So Isaiah Stewart was ejected right here, and we saw that Frank Jackson ended up coming in and closing the last 16 minutes of this game. Corey Joseph was also out there, and he played 38 and a half minutes, nearly 39 minutes. So I'm expecting both these guys to play pretty considerable minutes. I mean, he played 16 minutes in the second half. If you extrapolate that over the course of two halves, that's 32 minutes out of Frank Jackson. So I think Frank Jackson is a pretty sneaky play. But again, if you are playing a guy like Frank Jackson, you are conceding some flexibility that you may need later on in the slate. Would you go Noel or Nance at center? Just from a safety perspective, I might go Noel. What the hell do I do at power forward on DK? It's so bad, dude. It's really bad. I mean, I'm really hoping that Carmelo Anthony opens up, because power forward is pretty bad. I'm considering, like, if AD plays, I might just go ahead and play AD just because of how weak it is. I also don't mind Paul George. I'm ending up spinning up for power forward more times than not on today's slate. You know, of course, if Jokic ends up sitting later, Jeff Green and JaMychal Green end up pretty solid plays here. Best play for Turney, Barrett or Walker? I'd still take. I mean, Barrett's going to be lower owned than Walker, but I'd still consider Walker there. AD had 9 stocks for that 70 burger. LOL. Hey, but that is AD though. Kind of what he does. Obviously, 9 is a crazy amount. Maybe Lyles at minimum. Yeah, Lyles isn't the worst play today. There is a chance that he starts, but I'm concerned that they just want to keep that second unit together, and so Lyles will just come off the bench and play like 2 8-minute stints. Like, that's my worry. Like, Lyles comes off the bench and plays 2 8-minute stints, plays 16 minutes, and then it's like, shit. Like, that's not a very good play, even at minimum. Taking over the 100K prize tonight on FanDuel tonight. I'm speaking it into existence. I'm very confident in my line. Let's get it, man. Any prize picks plays? Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for this Anthony Davis news right now. If you guys want to play right now, I do like the over Taylon Horton Tucker 30.5 fantasy points with the Paul George over 43 fantasy points. I really like that. And then I'm really just waiting for news. I also like Julius Randle over 41 fantasy points. I'm really just waiting for news on the if I can talk correctly, on Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic, because if Jokic ends up getting ruled out, I love the over on Will Barton, Jeff Green, Aaron Gordon, and if Luka Doncic ends up being ruled out, I like the overs on Jalen Brunson and Kristaps Porzingis, and you can end up, and Tim Hardaway Jr. You could pair those with the other Clippers guys like Paul George and maybe Reggie Jackson, but definitely going to need to wait for that kind of news for prize picks today, because everything else seems priced pretty appropriately as of right now. But yeah, as of right now, it's just like the over Paul George fantasy points as well as the over Taylon Horton Tucker, because Taylon's going to play big minutes regardless. With LeBron James out, like I said it earlier, I mean, he's going to play like 38 minutes. We've seen it already multiple times since he's returned. In this game, he played 37 minutes, and the game was blowing out. He played the entire fourth quarter of a blowout. The next game, he played 39 minutes. Then LeBron James returned, and then, you know, he's just not, his usage comes down, his ball handling responsibilities come down, his minutes come down. But you take LeBron James off the court, he's going to end up playing a ton. We saw that when LeBron James got ejected, he was the first guy in, played a quick 4-minute stint right here, and then ended up closing the last 12 minutes of the game. So I think that we see pretty big minutes out of Taylon today. Should be a staple in your lineups on both sides, in my opinion. He has guard and forward eligibility, so pretty easy to get him in there. I think his price tag is fine as well. I'm on Miller regardless. Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about revenge narratives, I mean, Carmelo Anthony definitely in play at $5,400, regardless if Anthony Davis is in or out. Any interest in Grant? No, not really. Do you like Barrett over 3s on prize picks? Let's take a look and see what that's at, actually. 1.5. Man, you would have to imagine he probably has more shooting opportunities here. How many is he even attempting recently? 2, 5, 7, 2. I mean, I would lean the over on it. He hasn't been shooting well this year at all. We all know that, but I mean, the opportunities should be there, especially with no Derrick Rose. Yeah, I like the T. Yeah, see, TSG was gonna be on my official play earlier, but they took him off the board as soon as I saw it. It was at like 27. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take this, and then when I went to go and place it, it was removed. Noel or Kojo for me. Taylor if AD is out. Joseph, THT, Barrett, Carmelo, Howard, Westbrook, Randall, Kemba. Absolutely love that lineup. Yeah, if AD is ruled out, that's the kind of lineup I'm looking at. Must play spin up for DK Cash. I mean, like, it's tough right now, man. We still need to wait for news. Like, I mean, Jokic would be a must play for me if we knew 100% that he's playing. I'm leaning towards him playing, so. But again, like, it's very sketchy playing him. As of right now, a guy that is for sure playing that I really like is Paul George. And actually, I take that back. You know, Paul George for sure playing. I don't even know. That game could get canceled. You know, earlier today in practice, their practice got canceled because of COVID protocol. Like, this game could get canceled. I don't think that's likely to happen, but that's still looming around. That could definitely end up happening. Scary, weird situation, man. Thoughts on Porzingis? Yeah, it's entirely dependent on the health of Luka Doncic, and that is the last game of the slate, 3.5 hours after lock, 4 hours from right now, so it's really hard to say. I think even if Luka is out, I think he's more of a secondary play. I'd rather play Bam there, but yeah. I might play Randall on DK if AD sits. Oh, dude. Yeah, I mean, Randall's already in a good spot, and if AD's out, I mean, it's in an even better spot. I mean, this Lakers defense is abysmal, and you take Anthony Davis off the court, I mean, man. Randall 10K too much on DK. I feel like he needs to go over 55 fantasy points at that price, but damn, the Lakers are bad. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I added him to the cheat sheet because I think that, especially without Derrick Rose now, I think that they just lean on the starters a lot heavier today, and I think that Anthony Davis or Julius Randle is definitely in play now. And if you go ahead and play him, then you're not worrying about the later games as well with Jokic and Luka. What's going on, Rhythm? Jordan and Dwight if AD is out. Yep, I think that's completely fine. Do I play George or Butler? I like George there. Jordan or Dwight if you had to choose one. It's going to be Dwight for me. Are the DK sheets up to date? Yeah, they are up to date right now. We're kind of just waiting for the Anthony Davis news. I'm actually going to post an update on Patreon just so you guys know the strategy of tonight. I really just take it as light as you possibly can with his first game until we get this Anthony Davis news, because you're going to want to make some pivots if he is ruled out. Don't want my guys all locked up in this first game. And this first game probably has the biggest likelihood of blowing out as well. So I'm totally okay with getting away from some of my action in the first game. What about the Knicks guards? Will Burks and Walker be playing next to each other? Who will be playing off the bench for them? I'm thinking Burks, Walker, and even quickly if he's coming off the bench. Yeah, I think all three of them are fine. I'm fine with playing all three of them together, considering their price and the fact that Derrick Rose is out. I think Kemba's going to play around 40 minutes, which is going to leave about 18 Derrick Rose minutes. And so I think those are going to be divvied up mostly to quickly. But Alec Burks has already been playing a lot, so an extra couple of minutes for Alec Burks is even better for him. And Alec Burks has been shooting very well lately. He's been shooting a lot. So I think Alec Burks is one of the better value plays on the entire slate. Let's not do that. I canceled the game. Yeah, man, it's brutal. Thoughts on Frank Jackson? Yeah, Frank Jackson has been very good lately. And, you know, we saw him play 16 second half minutes once Isaiah Stewart was ruled out. Or was ejected, and they ended up going small. Frank Jackson was in the lineup. And so if you extrapolate 60 minutes over the course of two halves, you know, that's 32 minutes. So if we can get 32 minutes out of Frank Jackson, yeah, that's a very good play. Walker quickly, definitely Walker. Any news out? Yeah, I mean, we're still waiting on a ton of news. Anthony Davis is a game time decision, so Kind of taking it light in this first game, really just focusing on like Corey Joseph over on Draftkings and waiting for the Anthony Davis news. Okay, I posted a little update in the Patreon if you guys want to check that out. Just get a little strategy of what we're doing today. Frank Jackson or Burks? Got to be Burks for me. Burks or Diallo? Burks, Lyles, any run, or is that too much of a stretch? Duncan Robinson listed available to play. Okay, so I don't have to deal with... So is PJ Tucker. Okay, we don't have to mess around with the Max Strus thing. And with the Heat being fully healthy now, I mean, dude, this game could really get out of hand. Yeah, and actually, I want to look at the blowout risk here for the Pistons, or the rotations for the Pistons in blowouts, because I want to see how much run we're actually getting out of a guy like Frank Jackson in blowouts. So Frank Jackson, I mean, he's not the complete blowout guy, but he will play pretty deep in a blowout. So, you know, I probably still prefer Corey Joseph here to Frank Jackson. I mean, I definitely do, but this game could definitely get out of hand now that the Heat are fully healthy today. I actually think that the Fournier is definitely in play. I think his minutes are more secure than looking at the rotation for the Cavs a few weeks ago when Kemba sat. Burks and Fournier played some together. Yeah, I mean, but the thing with Fournier, like, dude, he's just been so bad that they will just, like, not give him minutes. And, dude, there was this thing that I saw the other day where it was showing how often Evan Fournier's been playing in the fourth quarter. He just doesn't play the fourth quarters. They just prefer closing with, like, Alec Burks and stuff. It's, scary times for Evan Fournier, and they gave him an absolute bag this year, so definitely very, very weird situation. Both cheap enough to hit values at the price around 4K, absolutely. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is out for Wednesday. Hey, tomorrow, calling it right now. Josh Giddey triple-double. Place your bets now. It is soft. He will sit tonight. Yeah. About to low-key lock Randall if AD is out. Yeah, I like Randall a ton. I mean, you could go ahead and lock Randall and Westbrook. Utility 4K. Let's take a look. I'm gonna give myself whiplash looking at the news. Yeah, it's probably Quickly for me. Man, Quickly versus Fournier is tough, though. Oh, actually, I mean, it's Corey Joseph if you don't already have Corey Joseph. On DK, if Davis is out, who do you not play at point guard? Joseph, Walker, or Westbrook? Playing all three, one of the utility means cannot play two centers. Yeah, I mean, I would end up probably just playing one of his centers. And that would be Dwight for me personally. Saban Lee's still playing. Saban Lee is in the G League right now. Barton or Cade. I'm going to go with Cade there because I think there's a pretty good chance that Barton ends up playing. And I don't want to play Barton at that price tag if Jokic is healthy. Fournier still played 29 minutes in the last game through 3 quarters, though. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong with the Evan Fournier thing. I'm just saying, like, he's been so bad that they are very willing to cut his minutes, which makes him a very, very volatile play because, I mean, we've seen it time and time again. If he's not playing well, they're just not going to play him. And he's been playing bad. So, I mean, it is a matchup against the Lakers, so maybe he will play a little bit better. But very, very volatile play. Fine in tournaments, win touching in cash. Thoughts on Jeff Green, I mean? Yeah, I mean, Jeff Green's going to start regardless if Jokic is playing or not. But he becomes a much better play if Jokic is out because he will get a lot of run at the 5. That's really not going to happen if Jokic is healthy. If AD plays, are you still on the Knicks, guys? Yeah, absolutely. I'm probably just going to game stack the whole game. Where do you guys get your injury news so fast? You can get like the Fantasy Labs NBA alerts to your phone from Twitter. If AD play, oh whoops! Imagine the Miami-Detroit game being the actual game stack of the night OT for the win. Hey, isn't that how it always works out? I mean, it's like a short slate, and the one game that's supposed to blow out ends up going to overtime. I mean, that happens all the time. So with all the point guards in play, should we fade Joseph in hopes we get Westbrook, Lillard, Kemba all in, or not worth the risk? I don't think it's necessarily worth the risk there. Although I mean, Joseph is a core play for me. I think he's a good play. Like, don't get me wrong. But I'm probably not going to fade him here. Yeah, just pivot off Dwight right now. If AD plays around 4K range is awful. Besides Burks, kind of. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, man. How about Diallo? I'm not on Diallo. Burks a lock. Burks not a lock. I think he's a good play, though. How does this look pending AD and Jokic news? Westbrook, Diallo, THT, Randall, Noel, CJ McCollum, Burks, Nance. I'm not really on Diallo at all, but I like the rest of the lineup. Who's playing for Batum? So Amir Coffey ended up starting for Batum last game, but Marcus Morris is coming back from a very long layoff. I'm expecting him to start in place of Amir Coffey. He will likely be on a minutes limit, but it just like muddles the rotation and all the minutes up there. So, which is already a difficult situation to kind of understand. So I'm really just focusing on Paul George from the Clippers. I think Reggie Jackson's role is very secure as well, but outside of those two guys, I mean, the minutes fluctuate a ton with the Clippers. All the Heat guys in. Yep. Does Bam get any play in a blowout? No. But I will say, like, whoever they have matched up against Bam Adebayo should get torched, especially if it's Luka Garza. Like, Luka Garza has no problem being good offensively in the NBA. Just defensively, he is just so bad. Just a sieve on defense, and we can see Bam Adebayo really abuse him. That's why I like him a ton over on FanDuel. Have you talked about any prize picks yet? Yeah, as of right now, we're still waiting on news on a bunch of guys, but if you guys want to tail a pick from me right now, it's the Taylon Horton Tucker over 30.5 fantasy points. It doesn't matter if Anthony Davis is out to me. I mean, obviously it makes him a much better play, but I think he hits that pretty easily with no LeBron James. And I like the over Paul George 43 fantasy points. It's kind of my two pick I'm running as of right now. We took RJ Barrett over, I believe it was 24 fantasy points earlier, or 24.5. It's moved up to 26. I would still lean the over, especially with Derrick Rose out, but yeah. And if you want an additional guy, I guess Julius Randle at over 41 fantasy points is definitely in play as well. Rusty over 11.5, Randle over 10.5. Yes. What is this, rebounds or? $11.5, $10.5. What? I don't know. Is Bam worth getting because I think he's high up in price for its recent games? I think on FanDuel that Bam is one of the best plays on the entire slate. Draftkings not so much. Price picks, would you take the under on Fournier? Yeah. No, 18 fantasy points is so low. It's just like, it seems like an appropriate projection right here. I'm not really messing with it. The bet again, I'll go over it again. You know, we're still waiting on a ton of news. If Anthony Davis is ruled out, then Taylor Horton Tucker, Carmelo Anthony, gonna want to take the overs there. If Luka Doncic is ruled out, you're going to want to take the overs on Jalen Brunson and Kristaps Porzingis and Tim Hardaway Jr. probably as well. You'll get a ton of value there. And then if Nikola Jokic is ruled out, you're going to want to take the overs on probably Aaron Gordon and Will Barton. Jeff Green, you know, I would still lean the over, and then I'm not really interested in Monty Morris all that much, even with Jokic being ruled out. But yeah, taking advantage of that news is the best way to get value over here on Prize Picks. But again, as of right now, I'm taking the over on Taylor Horton Tucker and Paul George fantasy points. Westbrook or Dame on FanDuel. I mean, as of right now, it's Dame. If Anthony Davis is ruled out, which he's a game time decision, then I would slide over to, I would try to get up to Westbrook. Randall or PG. PG for me is 4 Knicks players on DK too many. No, I think it's fine. Diallo played 21 minutes last game. You think if they go small with no Lyles, then Diallo could end up being a part of that? No, I mean, we can go over it again. Oh. I just think that, I mean, I don't know who's going to get the start here. It's just like very indicative of, or very dependent on who ends up getting the start here. I mean, I mean, I guess Diallo can get there. It's just like something I'm not really all that interested in. Especially if he's going to carry ownership tonight. Also, he shot 7 for 9 last time. Uh, 6K utility have Joseph, Jackson, Horton, Tucker, Melo, Noel, Westbrook, and Randall so far. Yeah, it's probably like Sadiq Bey there, but you're giving up some flexibility by running that. Over 10.5. Oh, first half points. I mean, I would just wait around for the AD news. If AD is ruled out, then yeah, I would take that. Never go under on Prize Picks. I mean, I think under is probably the sharpest route to go, but I think that the way that Prize Picks uses their projections, it always seems like the projections are a little bit low to bait the overs, but the unders is actually like the sharper route to take because there are so many situations that could allow a player to hit the under: injury, foul trouble, blowout, you know, just not straight up not playing well. A lot more scenarios for a player to go under than over. So I think that they that's why their projections are like that. It's kind of bait, to be honest. But when they do stuff like that and then injuries happen, then they are way too far under where you get a ton of value in hitting the over. So that's why I kind of wait around for injuries to really place my bets, because I can get some severe value over on Prize Picks. So only play Joseph from first game on DK. Yeah, I think that's probably the best strat to go with. 4,700 utility. Probably Alec Burks. Want to smash that like button. Last question from me. Thoughts on Nance Jr.? Why do we want to play him? And is Joseph a must play? Joseph pretty much a must play for me. He's a core staple of my lineups on FanDuel and Draftkings. And the thing with Larry Nance Jr. is that the Trailblazers have been very willing to play him as the backup 5, small ball wise. Okay, Luka Garza is starting. Okay. And so, just to finish that thought, Larry Nance Jr. will get some run as the backup 5. If Jokic were to be ruled out, the front court's going to be very undersized from the Nuggets, because they'll start JaMychal Green, who is undersized in himself. So I think we might see extended minutes from Larry Nance Jr. It is also the front end of a back-to-back for Jusuf Nurkic, and they typically take it easy on his minutes in back-to-back. So instead of resting him, so I think we could see some extra minutes from Larry Nance Jr. because of that as well. Yeah, I really didn't think that would actually happen. Luka Garza starting, but, you know, he's an interesting tournament option. I really wish we had this AD news now, because I feel like I could find myself getting some Garza exposure. The only scary thing about Luka, you know, Luka is a very good per minute producer. Obviously, a bad matchup against Bam Adebayo in the Miami Heat as a whole, blowout risk. And I think there is some fear that he could just like start the halves and not come back into the game. They could just close both halves with Jeremy Grant at the 5, and then you just run into a situation where, yeah, you get a minimum price guy that's starting, but how much is he actually going to end up playing? Lyles or Garza, last utility under 3.2K. Yeah, I'll just take Garza there. I'll take Garza. I'm not too thrilled with Trey Lyles like I know a lot of people are, so. Frank Jackson in play? Yeah, he's in play. Like Kemba, I love Kemba. Kemba is a core piece for me today. Isn't he blowout proof though? Maybe. I don't know. It's just really hard to gauge, to be honest. Because we haven't really been seeing him in playing blowouts, because he just moved up not too long ago. I will say that I would lean that he likely would, but yeah. I'm going to make a quick update to the FanDuel lineup. I meant to do this earlier, but you know, it's never too late for this specific swap. Just want to open up some flexibility in case Anthony Davis is ruled out. Any love for Zubats? Nah, Serge is back. Serge only played like 12 and a half minutes last game, but I think slowly but surely they're going to start eating into his minutes. And Marcus Morris is also back, so they could definitely run some small ball with Morris out there at the 5. So not really that interested in Zubats anymore. Kojo or Fournier? Kojo. Garza trap season. Yeah, I think Garza could be a trap. I'm probably not going there, personally. Yeah, Anthony Davis will start. Okay, so we got this news early. Okay. So Anthony Davis is good to go. Okay. So I do like Anthony Davis quite a bit. Not on Russell Westbrook. Not on... I mean, Melo's still a fine play. I'm actually not going to make a change to FanDuel anymore because it doesn't matter because Anthony Davis is playing. So I do like Anthony Davis a lot. Okay. Let me make an update to Patreon just to alert everybody, though, that Anthony Davis is playing. It's going to be funny. It's going to end up being Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, Luka Doncic, and Nikola Jokic all playing tonight. I just feel it in my bones. All the game time decisions are going to end up playing. Okay. So now we are going to get, I wouldn't play Dwight or DeAndre Jordan unless you think, we saw this situation not too long ago. We just weren't notified about it. But before one of the games a couple weeks ago, Anthony Davis was feeling sick, was throwing up in the locker room, started the game, exited the game because he kept throwing up, and then he just never came back in. That could happen again. We just, before that game, we weren't made aware that he was even sick or throwing up. There's just no reports on it. Now we know. So, I mean, if you want to fade Anthony Davis and, get onto some, those other Lakers guys, you could do so. But, I'm not really banking on him starting and then leaving, especially after we already had that situation happen again. Okay. So, yeah, I think Anthony Davis won this. I mean, we know that he's playing, so I feel pretty comfortable with him. Pretty damn comfortable with him. Very good matchup against the Knicks. I think he should be able to abuse them. Yeah, I like Anthony Davis. And with this situation, it's only going to lower his ownership. That's the only thing that's going to happen today. Or with this news happening, it's just going to lower his ownership. Okay. Westbrook is a fade now. Yeah, I'm not on Westbrook all that much. I mean, Westbrook could have a great game here, but Taylon Horton Tucker kind of, takes away the likelihood of a ceiling game happening from Westbrook. With Anthony Davis, I think that, AD's going to get his regardless. People know. If you watch any of my videos, I tout AD nearly every time he's on the slate. Now LeBron James is out, and now his ownership is going to be abysmally low because there's because he was a game time decision, but he's ruled in. There's no LeBron James. They're facing the Knicks, who are very short-handed up front in the front court with no Taj Gibson, no Mitchell Robinson. I mean, a really good spot for Anthony Davis at limited ownership. Yep, Garza starting. I think Garza is an interesting tournament option, but super volatile, even at minimum price, man. It's just it's hard to get there. Played AD, that slate, little 7 minutes and tummy ache makes him leave. Yeah, man, that was brutal. Yeah, because I was touting him pretty hard. He might have been the cover boy of that slate. 80-70 burger, yep. Yeah, and I don't really have any confidence in saying Luka Doncic and or Nikola Jokic are even going to play today. So if they end up missing, you could become very thin with these studs. You could still go to guys like Damian Lillard and Paul George, who I think are in good spots, but you could get your studs in now with Randall and or Anthony Davis if you don't want to wait around for that news later on. Nurkic, THT, or Reggie Jackson. I'm going to go with THT there. Frank Jackson or Noel. I'll probably go with Noel there. AD or Joker, DK Cash. Yeah, see, that's just like a very tricky situation because Joker is, he's probably heading towards a game time decision. Personally, I think that he probably ends up playing. And he would be very low owned if he did play. So if I knew right now both of them were healthy, it'd be Jokic. Jokic would be the top pay up option by far. But I don't have 100% confidence that he's going to end up playing. So you might as well just take AD now, just for the safety of it. I think he's in a really good spot in his own right. And then you don't have to worry about the Jokic news later on. Kind of save yourself some stress. What if he leaves the game like last time? That'd be pretty brutal, man. So what Lakers are you on now? Just Anthony Davis and Taylon Horton Tucker. Those are the only two Lakers that I'm on now. Should I hit the 80 over on Prize Picks? It's at like 48 now, so that's pretty high. I'm not that interested in it at that price. 48.5. Yeah, I don't want to mess with that. Go with Cade instead of Westbrook. If you want to say, Westbrook's in a good spot in his own right. I would still prefer Westbrook to Cade though. I think this game could actually get pretty out of hand. Melo or RJ? Probably RJ for me. Probably RJ. I think, we've already seen Melo play with no LeBron and then Taylon Horton Tucker back. And, Taylon just takes over that offensive role that Melo had. Maybe since this is in Madison Square Garden that Melo chucks more, but I'm pretty concerned that Taylon Horton Tucker just takes away a ton of what we saw earlier on in the season from Carmelo Anthony. So I probably lean Barrett there. Cade or Will Barton, utility spot. I'd probably take Cade there. Because if Jokic plays, I don't want to play Will Barton at that price. Best power forward and center on FanDuel. Randall for sure. Randall's price over on Draftkings or on FanDuel is crazy. It's just so bad. 3 New York Knicks guys, okay, 100%. Knicks are probably the best values on the entire slate. Monty Morrison played DK Cash. No, not really. Which Knicks are you on now? The Knicks that I'm on, I'm on Randall, Kemba Walker for sure, Alec Burks, RJ Barrett, and then quickly as a tournament option. Is Anthony Davis playing tonight? Yes, he is available and he is starting. Noel, Randall, or 80 and Garza. I'd probably take 80 and Garza there. Westbrook or PG-13. Going to be PG for me. Burks or Powell. Burks, George or Lillard. I like George more. This Lakers and Knicks game looking juicy. Yeah, this game is going to be tight. I'm really interested in stacking the Lakers and Knicks game. I think and then if you do that, we already know who's in and who's out on those teams. So don't really have to worry as much about these later games because I think people could find themselves getting into trouble by leaving up too much flexibilities for these late games. And then if Luka and Jokic end up playing, they've already been out the last couple of games, so the values on those teams are already priced up. So you're really not getting that much value, even if those guys end up sitting. We know that we're getting for sure value out of the Knicks and then somewhat from the Lakers with Taylon Horton Tucker. I think he's undervalued. Check DMT. I got you, Matt. Yeah, I like that, man. Going with the Luka today. Luke Garza should be a pretty sick. I'm fine with playing Luke. I'm fine with playing Garza today. Because I think that there is a pretty good chance that he plays blowout run too. So he might be in a situation like Horton Tucker where it doesn't matter if the game's blowing out or not. He's probably going to play some decent minutes regardless. Garza in play, yes. It is fine to play Garza. Yeah, Garza's like minimum price, so my only fear, so the worst case scenario for Luka Garza here is that he starts both halves, plays like 2 6-minute stints, and they close small while the game is competitive. That is part of the worst case scenario. The game is competitive. If the game blows out, I think that favors Garza even more, but if it's close, yeah, I fear that he just plays 2 stints to start the half and he just never comes back in. Because they could play Trey Lyles at the 5 and they could play Grant at the 5, which we already know that Casey said that Grant is going to get some minutes at the 5 here. All right, guys, we got 4 minutes to lock. Yeah, no problem, man. Lyles or Garza? I'd probably take my chances with Garza there. Do you like Nurkic? Yeah, not really. I mean, he's strict. I mean, it's like the most volatile play ever. I mean, look at the minutes that this guy is playing, dude. It's just so bad. 23, 23, 18, 21. And these are for the most part in competitive games. They've just been very okay with playing Larry Nance Jr. at the 5. And Jokic is no longer a slouch on defense. He is a legitimate defender now. So if Jokic is out there, it could get tough for Nurkic. You on Noel at all? Yeah, I think Noel is fine. I mean, he played 26 minutes last time. With no Taj Gibson, Mitchell Robinson. Same case today. With Anthony Davis healthy, and Dwight and DeAndre Jordan are each going to get their 2 stints. I think Noel likely plays around 28 minutes as opposed to 26, so a couple more minutes for Noel. I think he's fine. He's not a good per minute producer, but he should be out there for a decent amount of time. The rest of those minutes are going to go to mostly Jericho Sims. I know got 1 stint last game, but the rest of those minutes are largely going to go to Julius Randle at the 5, which of course opens up more spots for guys like Alec Burks to get minutes, quickly to get minutes. So just a really good spot for the secondary guys on the Knicks, like Barrett and Burks and Kemba Walker. Garza or Nance for me. Any news on Joker? No news on Joker, but I did see on Twitter from the official Denver Nuggets account that he was not wearing a brace in his most recent warm-up. So, maybe that entails that he's going to play today. I would lean that he plays, but who knows? Strus or Garza? Got to be Garza. Strus. Duncan Robinson's healthy, so not really on Strus there. Rank your Knicks. Kemba Walker for sure. Then Barrett, then Burks, then Randall. Talking about Draftkings price points wise, and then quickly. On FanDuel, it's Randall first, then Kemba. Is Corey Joseph a lock? Yeah, he's a staple in my lineups today. Don't love Joseph tonight. I mean, he played 39 minutes last time in the same situation, so it's just... And he had like a bottom of the barrel game there. Like, he just was not very involved. I think he could be a lot more involved here. Kojo, Hardaway Jr., THG 80, Garza, Kemba, Burks, Jokic, Hardaway Jr. swap to Barton Dame. If Jokic is out, I like that a lot, man. That's a good pivot. Yeah, if you guys are planning on playing some guys later on, make sure to have the pivots ready. Make your Knicks for... Oh, I just said that. Jimmy Butler play or stay away tonight. I'm staying away from the Heat for the most part. I think this game could easily end up blowing out. But plus they're all healthy, and that I think they're a bit priced up because they've been dealing with so many injuries. So they've been having better games than they would have had if the team was completely healthy. It's 10.5 point spread now as opposed to 9 earlier on in the day. So money being poured in on the Miami Heat here. And I think the Pistons have been kind of overperforming recently, specifically Cade Cunningham. Cade or Barton with Joker in. Cade... Not on Hero. Walker, Joseph, George, THC, Barrett, Brunson, Davis, Randall. Yeah, I really like that, Josh. Garza or Noel. I'll take Noel there. Rank your Knicks for DK Cash. Kemba Walker for sure. Then probably Barrett and Burks. They're all pretty close. And then Julius Randle then quickly. Diallo thoughts. Not really on Diallo today. Yeah, I think Sadiq Bey is in a pretty interesting spot. I'm just not getting to too many Detroit guys or anybody from this game outside of Bam Adebayo on FanDuel and then Kojo on both sides. Is Jeff Green in play? I would really only play him. He's going to start regardless of Jokic is in or out, but I would really only consider rostering him if Jokic were to be ruled out. Garza's cheeks. Garza's good offensively. It's just like defensively, man, that dude is abysmal. Burks minutes. Yeah, I mean, I think Burks Burks could get up to like 30 minutes, but like 28 to 30 minutes is a pretty good range for Burks today. All right, guys. I got some plans tonight, but I will be updating the Patreon as much as I possibly can throughout the day. We're still waiting on that Jokic news, that Luka news. I'll be back way ahead of time. We already have news this game's gonna start. Then we already know what's going on in the Lakers game in 30 minutes, and then we have a nice 2.5 hours till the next game. Hopefully we get news in a timely manner, but I'll be sure to update you guys in the Discord as well as the Patreon. If you guys want to join any of those, they're linked down below. The Discord is completely free. So if you guys haven't joined that already, make sure to do so. Make sure to drop a like on your way out. But I appreciate you guys being here. I'm here every single day. So if you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button, I'm trying to get a new subscriber every single video. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. That would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, since I am here every day, if you do subscribe, you will be notified when I do go live and post my videos every day, and it really helps me out. The number one way of supporting me. But yeah, guys, best of luck tonight.